mga students! Welcome again to my class. Ito na naman inyong gurong vlogger ng Kuwait, Guro sa umaga, YouTuber and live streamer paggabi. And today, my students in my reading and writing skills class will discuss to us about the reading process and reading strategies. So please check this out.
Hi guys and welcome. Group 1 will be discussing about the reading process and reading strategies. The following members of the group will be discussing further through the topic, which in this case tackling applying effective reading strategies and pre-reading strategies, which includes previewing, skimming and scanning, and recalling background knowledge. During reading strategies, this is using the context clues and the synonyms and antonyms. Lastly, using connotations and denotations. First of all, what is reading? According to a few people, reading is the process of looking at a series of written symbols and getting meaning from them. When we read, we use our eyes to receive written symbols. It could be letters, punctuation marks, or even spaces. And we use our brain to convert them into words, sentences, and paragraphs, to extract meaning from text. Reading can be described as a cognitive process of decoding symbols. The comparison between the text and the reader is often an interaction, mostly when it comes to deeper words. This interaction goes something like this. Your eyes not only look at symbols on a page as you read the text, but also consider them. For instance, when you look at the letter A, you can understand it as an indefinite article depending on where it happens on a phrase or term. You have always been trying to search for familiar terms, and by associating them with words, which you already knew that exist, you try to make sense of the new words. You understand these because reading requires creating relations between the text and our previous experience. This mainly happens on poems. Some words are said or written in a peculiar manner, and we tend to try and find a simpler word that relates to it for us to further understand the poem. This helps us whether for educational, personal, or professional reasons to obtain and exchange knowledge and ideas. Reading is a receptive skill. Through it, we receive information. But the complex process of reading also requires the skill of speaking, so that we can pronounce the word that we read. In this case, reading is also a productive skill, in that we are both receiving information and transmitting it, even if it's just for ourselves. As we know that reading is placed third of the 4 language skills, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If you may be asking, do we need to read in order to speak in English? Remember, native people are able to speak fluently in English, even if they can't read nor write in English. On the other hand, reading is something that you can do on your own, and that greatly broadens your vocabulary, thus helping you in speaking, listening, and writing. In short, no, you don't need to read for you to be able to speak in English.
Hi, in this video, I'm gonna discuss applying effective reading strategies. Okay, let's go. When it comes to reading books, articles, novels, or other pieces of literature, there are times that you felt confused about what you're reading because of the words you don't understand, or the context that you can't follow. Well, you must apply these effective reading strategies for you to fully comprehend on what you're reading. Here are some strategies that you can use to increase your understanding of the idea of the text. There are 2 types of reading strategies: pre-reading and during reading strategies. I'll start discussing the pre-reading strategies. At times, it may be a good idea to survey the text as a whole before diving deeper into each part, meaning that you should try to get the general overview or the main point of the text first, so you can understand the text when you want to read it at the second time. So whenever you want to get the gist, or should I say the main point of the text content, you should use these 3 pre-reading strategies, and they are previewing, skimming and scanning, and recalling background knowledge. First is previewing, which means looking at the readily visible parts of the text, like titles, subtitles, pictures, graphs, visuals, and charts. Doing this can help you become familiarized with the contents of the selection on what you're reading and focus on the important information in the text. So in order to preview the text properly, identify first your purpose for reading. Like, why do you need to read this book? For you to gain knowledge on what's inside of it? Or you want to read it for you to pass time, and such as that. Next, examine the titles and subtitles of the text. This can be visually found at the start of the book, poem, or more. Afterward, browse the introduction and conclusion of the text, so you can get the main idea of the text, since the main idea is explained through those parts. And then finally, look at the visual elements of the text, like for example, the pictures, the graphs, and charts, and just like that. Take notes of the things that can interest you, so doing all of these things can help you to better understand the text later when you read it again. Not only previewing helps you become familiarized with the content, but it also helps you to make predictions about the text content. Like when you preview the text, you can make some predictions about what you will read and what may comes next. As you read, previewing allows you to refine and verify your predictions. So that is previewing. Let's move on to the next one. Next is skimming and scanning. First is skimming. When it comes to skimming the text, it means you look for the main point of the reading and identify the ideas that develop it. Skimming effectively means physically moving your eyes rapidly along the page and tracing it with your finger along the lines of the text to speed up your reading, just like this. A lot of people are doing like that. This kind of skill involves quickly going through the beginning and concluding sentences of the paragraph, since they usually talk more about the topic of the text. You can also do that in previewing. Okay, let's move on. Let's continue. It may be a bit difficult to skim through some pieces of literature like poems where there are words that you don't understand, but quickly going over the text may give you the important ideas that can help you comprehend the text later on. So to summarize how skimming works, for me, to perform skimming is that I read a book very fast to find the main idea of what I just read and identify the ideas and details that might develop the main point through my reading. Since I have been talking about skimming, meanwhile, there is scanning. When it comes to scanning the text means looking for specific information. You need to find the idea of the details you are looking for. The skill still involves physically moving your eyes rapidly along the page and tracing it with your finger along the lines of the text, just like skimming. However, when it comes to scanning, you do not read every word like skimming. You just read until you find the specific details you were looking for. Scanning the text is very useful when doing research or taking examinations. Okay, so like one example in using this strategy is when you're taking an exam where there's a type of test, reading comprehension. So there's something that you need to read and you need to answer the questions about what you just read. So you try to find the answers by scanning through the whole text that you read before to find that one specific detail for you to answer that question. What you did there is scanning. Even if skimming and scanning require the same skill, they are different from one another. Skimming is more on reading very fast to get a general overview of the main idea of the text content, while scanning is more focused on reading fast to find specific facts. They don't care about the text content and what is the main point on what they're reading. They are more focused in finding the specific details. Okay, now let's move on to the last pre-reading strategy. Recalling background knowledge, or in my own words, recalling stock knowledge. This kind of strategy means that as you read, you make sense of the text by seeing how it fits with what you already know. But in my words, like when you read the text, you can easily understand and familiarize it because it resembles or connects to things that you know before you read the text. So it's like watching a movie where you don't know what direction will this movie go, but once you keep watching it, you can easily predict the things that can happen to this and that because you have the knowledge and experience to familiarize the stuff that is happening to the movie, and you can do that because you watch other movies before this that are familiar to the movie you are watching now. Your background knowledge is informed by your experience. Thus, the more you connect new knowledge and information that you already know, the more comprehension will increase, or you can understand the text more clearly. For example, in the poem Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll, you do not know what a Jabberwocky is, but as you read, you can describe Jabberwocky as a creature that resembles the villain of the story or a monster. You can also note that the hero in the poem can defeat the creature, which strengthens your conclusion. You can arrive at this conclusion because of your familiarity with fairy tales where the hero wins triumphantly after slaying the monster. It's like the same like watching the movie, that example. So that is all the pre-reading strategies. These kind of strategies can help you find the idea of what you're reading before you dig deeper through your reading and fully understand the text's content. And some strategies can help you during that, but that's going to be explained by another person. So that's all from me for this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
During reading strategies, there are two techniques in improving your understanding of reading and through text by using context clues, connotations, and denotation. First of all, what are context clues? Context clues provide further information about a word or phrase that helps readers understand its meaning. These clues offers insights either directly or indirectly into the portion of text that's difficult to understand. There are at least 5 common context clues. Synonyms. Synonyms or repeat context clues are one of 2 or more words or expression of the same language that have the same meaning in some or all senses. Though their meanings are similar, they are not exactly the same because a word may have different associations with it. One example of a synonym, Humpty Dumpty took great pleasure in obfuscating the poem's meaning for Alice. So, his explanations about the poem were confusing and complicated. Antonym. An antonym is a word that reveals the opposite meaning in relation to the unknown word, such as achieve, fail, compliment, insult, arrogant, humble, and so on and so forth. For example, the painting of the landscape is picturesque, while the one of the old house is just plain ugly. Examples. Examples are specific details in a text that are used to clarify the meaning of a word. It's pretty self-explanatory, but for example, piscatorial creatures such as flounder, salmon, and trout live in the coldest parts of the ocean. Piscatorial obviously refers to fishes. Explanation and definition. Explanation may be given as clues to describe an unknown term. When phrases like because or that is follow a word, these may be explanations, while definitions may follow an unfamiliar word. Terms like is, means, is defined as, and refers to are used with definitions. For example, Humpty Dumpty told Alice that brillig means the same thing as 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that is when people started broiling things for dinner. Situations in which a word is used can also be helpful in determining the meaning of that word. The meaning of a word may change depending on its context or how and where it is used. For instance, the boy wondered if he should have brought some backup in case he could not take on the Jabberwock by himself. The hero's conquest of the Jabberwock is an exemplary case of bravery. The hero's lucky that the murder of the Jabberwock does not merit a case in court. In the first example, case is part of an idiom, in case, which means if it should happen. In the second sentence, case pertains to an instance of the occurrence. In the third sentence, case refers to charges raised in court for a crime. Those are the 5 common context clues used. Moving on to the next technique in improving your understanding of a text.
Hello guys, it's me Giorgio here, and today I'm going to discuss and explain some examples between denotation and connotation. So what's the difference actually here? Denotation is any word which describes the literal or primary meaning without any emotions or feelings involved in it, while as connotation is any word which describes with the help of feelings or emotions in it, whether it's in the past, future, or present. Now we're going to discuss some examples between denotation and connotation. On the first example, we have 2 sentences. One says a snake is a dangerous animal, and the other one says Jake has a tongue of a snake. He's such a big liar. As we can see in both of the examples, the most common word is snake. Even though they both have a common word, but still their meaning in the sentence is very different. Now I'm going to break it down. Let us investigate whether sentence 1 of example 1 shows denotation or connotation. It is given in the sentence that a snake is a dangerous animal. Here, the sentence wants to deliver us the message that a snake is a very dangerous animal you don't want to play with because it can lead to death. Hence, we can conclude that this sentence is a denotative sentence. In short words, it shows denotation. Why? Because it does not show any emotion or feelings in this sentence. Now, let us investigate sentence 2. Sentence 2 says that Jake has a tongue of a snake, that he's such a big liar. This means that Jake has a very bad character that is lying. This will lead to people to confusion. And the sentence here does not mean that he has a tongue structure of a snake. So in conclusion, we can say that this sentence shows connotation because it shows the feeling and emotion of the receiver right here. Now, let's investigate more examples. Now, we have example 2. Example 2 sentence 1 says that the dog barks loudly, while sentence 2 says that the manager barks at those workers who do not do their works properly. Like the previous example, which is example 1, example 2 has also a common word, which is bark. Even though the common word bark is present in both sentences, however, they represent a different meaning. Here, in example 2 sentence 1, it says that the dog barks loudly. It is very clear that the sentence shows denotation. Why? Because this sentence does not have any feeling or emotions involved in it. Here, in the second sentence, in the second example, it says that the manager barked at those workers who did not do their works properly. The biggest misconception to the word bark is that it's only applied to dogs, but this is completely false. Bark can also mean shout loudly, like in this case. This sentence wants to deliver the message that the manager was actually shouting loudly to the workers, and it does not actually mean that the manager is actually a dog. No, that's completely wrong. Here it means that the manager is shouting at them. Here comes the final example. Sentence 1 says that because of the darkness, I'm not able to see properly. And sentence 2 says that I'm not going there because I have a fear of the darkness. Here, again, we can see another common word found in these 2 sentences is darkness. However, their meaning is completely different in these 2 sentences. The first sentence, which says, because of the darkness I cannot see properly, says that the speaker here is unable to see properly because of the darkness. In conclusion, we can say that this sentence shows denotation because it does not have any emotions or feeling involved in it. Sentence number 2, it says that I'm not going there because I have a fear of the darkness. Here, the sentence is saying that the speaker is afraid of going to places where there is darkness. And in conclusion, we can say that this sentence shows connotation. Why? Because in this sentence, it shows the feeling or emotion of the speaker.
Ayan, you have heard the different point of views of my students. And if you want to share your thoughts and opinions, please comment down and don't forget to click the notification bell in order for you to be updated if I have new videos. And don't forget to subscribe because as I usually say, subscribe now, laugh and learn later. Once again, ito na naman ninyong gurong vlogger ng Kuwait, Kuro sa umaga, YouTuber and live streamer paggabi saying, God bless you all and always keep safe. Bye-bye!